There is a chair next to me in the chemotherapy room. It is empty now. But I remember when Megan used to sit there holding my hand, telling me everything would be okay. We had been together for 4 years. We were engaged. She promised she would never leave me no matter what happened. I believed her with every piece of my heart. But I learned something painful during my treatment. Some things are stronger than love. Selfishness is one of them. I never thought the person I trusted most would be the one to stab me deepest. Before I begin this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If you have ever been betrayed by someone you loved with all your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know what happened when she came crawling back after her new man did the same thing to her, stay with me until the very end. This story changed my life forever. My name is Preston. I was 32 years old when this story began. I worked as a software engineer at a technology company in Austin, Texas. Life was good. I had a stable job, a nice apartment, and a woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. I met Megan at a birthday party thrown by a mutual friend. She walked in wearing a red dress, and I could not take my eyes off her. We talked all night about everything and nothing. She worked in marketing at a different company downtown. She was 29, smart, ambitious, and had this laugh that made everyone around her smile. Our relationship moved quickly. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. After 1 year of dating, she moved into my 2-bedroom apartment. We adopted 2 cats together, a gray one named Shadow, and an orange one named Copper. Every weekend we would take road trips to small towns around Texas, exploring new restaurants and hiking trails. Life felt complete. I proposed to her on a beach in Galveston during sunset. She cried and said yes before I even finished my sentence. We set a wedding date for the following spring. Her parents flew in from Minnesota to meet my parents from Ohio. Everyone got along perfectly. Everything was falling into place exactly how I imagined it would. Then came the day that changed everything. It started slowly. I began feeling tired all the time, even after sleeping 10 hours. I thought it was just work stress. We had a big project deadline coming up, and I was putting in 60-hour weeks. Megan noticed too. She said I was working too hard and needed to take better care of myself. I promised I would slow down after the project was done. But the fatigue did not go away. Then I noticed I had lost 15 pounds in 2 months without trying. My clothes were hanging loose on my frame. One night I woke up drenched in sweat, my pillow soaked through. Megan was concerned, but we both convinced ourselves it was nothing serious. The night I knew something was really wrong, I developed a high fever out of nowhere. My temperature hit 103 degrees. When Megan touched my neck, she felt lumps that had not been there before. Swollen lymph nodes, hard and tender to the touch. She drove me to the emergency room at 2 in the morning. The doctors ran blood tests, did scans, took biopsies. 3 days felt like 3 years as we waited for results. I remember exactly where I was when Dr. Harrison called. I was sitting in my car in the parking lot of my apartment building. Megan was in the passenger seat, her hand on my knee. Hodgkin lymphoma. Stage 2. Cancer. The word hit me like a freight train. I could not breathe, could not think, could not move. Megan grabbed my hand and squeezed hard. Tears were streaming down her face. "We will fight this together," she said. "I am not going anywhere. I promise you, Preston. I will be right here every single step of the way." I believed her. Why would I not? This was the woman who said yes to marrying me. The woman who talked about our future children and growing old together. The woman who held me every night and told me I was her everything. Dr. Harrison explained the treatment plan. 6 months of chemotherapy, possibly radiation afterward, depending on how I responded. The survival rate was good, he said. Hodgkin lymphoma was one of the more treatable cancers, especially caught at stage 2. But the road ahead would be brutal. The first 2 weeks of chemotherapy were exactly as brutal as promised. The drugs made me violently ill. I spent hours hunched over the toilet, my body rejecting everything I tried to eat. I was weak, exhausted, and scared out of my mind. But Megan was there. She held my hair back when I vomited. She made me soup and crackers when I could finally keep something down. She slept on the bathroom floor next to me when I was too sick to make it back to bed. She was my rock. Then something shifted. It was subtle at first. So subtle I almost missed it. Megan started coming home later from work. She said they had hired a new team and she was training them. Made sense. She was good at her job and often got extra responsibilities. But then I noticed she was always on her phone, texting late at night, smiling at her screen in a way she used to smile at me. When I asked who she was talking to, she said it was just a coworker from the new project. His name was Derek. He was her new manager. He is really helping me grow in my career, she explained. We have a lot to discuss. I did not think much of it. I was too focused on surviving each day, each treatment, each wave of nausea. The chemo was stealing my energy, my appetite, my hair. Clumps of it started falling out in the shower, clogging the drain. I barely recognized myself in the mirror anymore. One night after my third chemotherapy session, I was especially sick. I spent the entire night vomiting, my body convulsing with dry heaves, even when there was nothing left inside me. I called for Megan, but she was not home. I texted her, but she did not respond until 2 hours later. Sorry, baby, stuck in a work meeting. We'll be home soon. A work meeting at 11 at night. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. So I did. She came home the next morning looking tired, her eyes not quite meeting mine. She apologized and said the meeting ran late, and she crashed at a coworker's place instead of driving home exhausted. She kissed my forehead and went to bed. Something felt wrong in my gut, and it was not the chemotherapy this time. By my 4th round of chemotherapy, I was a shadow of the man I used to be. I had lost 30 pounds total. My hair was completely gone. My skin had a grayish tint that made me look decades older than 32. I could barely walk up the stairs without stopping to catch my breath, and Megan was disappearing. She stopped coming to my chemotherapy appointments. She said work was too demanding, that she could not afford to take time off anymore. I understood. Or at least I told myself I did. Bills still needed to be paid and my medical expenses were piling up. My parents flew in from Ohio to help take care of me. My father Thomas and my mother Linda moved into our guest room. Linda noticed Megan's absence immediately. "Where is your fiancé?" she asked one morning while making me oatmeal. "I have barely seen her since we arrived." "She is working hard, Mom. Someone has to keep the lights on while I am like this." My mother did not say anything, but I saw the doubt in her eyes. She had been married to my father for 38 years. She knew what commitment looked like, and what she was seeing was not it. Megan started going on business trips every weekend. Los Angeles, Chicago, Denver. Sometimes she would be gone for 3 or 4 days at a time. I lay in bed alone, too weak to do much besides watch television and wait for her calls. The calls got shorter. The texts got less frequent. One night I woke up at 3 in the morning and noticed the bed was empty. I found Megan standing on our balcony, phone pressed to her ear, speaking in a voice I had not heard in months. Soft, flirtatious, happy. "I miss you too," she said before hanging up. I pretended to be asleep when she came back inside. She slid under the covers without a word, turning her back to me. I lay there in the darkness, my heart cracking into pieces, too afraid to confront the truth I already knew. The next week, while Megan was in the shower, I did something I never thought I would do. I looked at her phone. I know it was wrong. I know it was a violation of trust. But the trust was already broken. I just needed to see it with my own eyes. There were hundreds of messages between her and Derek. Not work discussions. Love letters. Plans for the future. Dates they had been on while I was lying in a hospital bed attached to machines pumping poison into my veins. Derek was her new manager, just like she said. Tall, athletic, successful. Everything I used to be before cancer hollowed me out. They had been seeing each other for 3 months. 3 months. That meant it started just weeks after my diagnosis. One message from Derek made my blood run cold. "I cannot wait until you leave him. He is dragging you down with his sickness." Megan's response, "Soon, baby. I just need to find the right time. I put the phone down and went to the bathroom. I turned on the shower so she could not hear me, and I cried until there was nothing left. When I came out, I acted like nothing had happened. I watched her, this stranger wearing my fiancé's face, and wondered who she really was. I did not have to wait long. 1 month later, after my 4th chemotherapy session, I was lying in bed trying to gather enough strength to make it to the bathroom. The front door opened and Megan walked in carrying a suitcase I had not seen her pack. "Preston, we need to talk." She sat on the edge of the bed, not touching me. Her eyes were dry. Her voice was calm, rehearsed. "I cannot do this anymore," she said. "This is not the life I signed up for. I am 29 years old. I should be planning a wedding and thinking about babies. Instead, I am watching you waste away, and I cannot take it anymore. I need to live my life." "What about Derek?" I asked. She froze for just a moment before composing herself. "Yes, there is someone else. His name is Derek. I have been seeing him for 3 months. He makes me feel alive again, Preston. He shows me what life is supposed to be like. What about our 4 years, our engagement? You promised you would stay." She stood up and walked to the dresser. She pulled off her engagement ring and set it on the nightstand. "I did not sign up for this," she said without looking at me. "I did not sign up for cancer." She grabbed her suitcase and walked toward the door. "I will come back for the rest of my things later. I am sorry, Preston. I really am." The door closed behind her. I heard her footsteps fade down the hallway. Then silence. I sat there for hours staring at the engagement ring on the nightstand. The apartment had never felt so cold, so empty, so suffocating. That night was the darkest of my entire life, not because of the cancer eating away at my body, because of the betrayal eating away at my soul. The weeks after Megan left were the lowest point of my entire existence. I was fighting a war on 2 fronts. My body was battling cancer. My heart was battling heartbreak. Some days I was not sure which one hurt more. There were nights when I did not want to wake up. I would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, asking myself what was the point. The woman I loved had abandoned me. My body was destroying itself from the inside. I was 32 years old and felt like I had nothing left to live for. My parents refused to let me give up. My father, who had never been a man of many words, sat beside my bed one evening and took my hand. "You are stronger than this, son," he said, his voice cracking in a way I had never heard before. "Do not let her win. Do not let this disease win. You fight. You hear me? You fight." My mother made sure I ate every meal, even when I had no appetite. She forced me out of bed when all I wanted was to disappear under the covers. She reminded me every single day that I was loved, that I was wanted, that my life mattered. Marcus, my best friend from college and former coworker, drove 3 hours every weekend just to sit with me. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we watched football games in silence. Sometimes he just sat there so I would not be alone. He never once made me feel like a burden. Dr. Harrison pulled me aside after one of my treatments. "Preston, your mental state affects your physical recovery more than you know. I need you to find a reason to keep fighting. Your body cannot win this battle if your mind has already surrendered." Those words echoed in my head for days. Find a reason to keep fighting. One night I could not sleep. I lay there in the darkness thinking about everything. About Megan. About Derek. About how she said I was dragging her down. About how she did not sign up for this. And then something clicked. If I gave up now, she would be right. She would tell everyone that I was weak, that I was a burden, that leaving me was the right decision. She would get to rewrite our story with herself as the victim, and me as the anchor that almost drowned her. No, I would not give her that satisfaction. I decided right then and there that I was going to survive. Not just survive, thrive. I was going to rebuild my life better than it was before. And I was going to do it without her. The next morning, I started making changes. I began with small things. Light exercise, just walking around the block when my body allowed it. eating nutritious meals even when the chemo killed my appetite, reading books instead of wallowing in self-pity. I joined a support group for cancer patients at the hospital. It felt strange at first sitting in a circle with strangers talking about our fears and our pain. But these people understood me in a way nobody else could. They were fighting the same battle. They knew what it felt like to look death in the face and refuse to blink. That is where I met Natalie. She was 30 years old being treated for breast cancer. She had lost her hair, lost 20 pounds, and lost her boyfriend who could not handle the pressure. Her story was painfully similar to mine. Natalie was not a romantic interest. She was something more important. She was a friend who truly understood. We would sit together after our treatments sipping ginger tea to calm our stomachs, talking about everything and nothing. She never judged me. She never pitied me. She just listened. "You know what I realized?" she told me one afternoon. "The people who leave during the hard times were never really with us in the first place. They were just there for the easy parts, the fun parts. They loved the idea of us, not the reality." Her words hit me hard. That was exactly what Megan did. She loved the idea of Preston, the successful software engineer with the nice apartment and the promising future. She did not love the actual person, because real love does not walk away when things get hard. I started writing a blog about my cancer journey. At first, it was just for myself, a way to process my thoughts and emotions. But then people started finding it. Other cancer patients, caregivers, survivors. They left comments telling me my words helped them feel less alone. Some shared their own stories. A community started forming around this little blog I had created from my